Picture a chest brimming with gold, jewels, and artifacts from a forgotten time, hidden away in some distant jungle, buried beneath shifting sands, or resting silently at the bottom of the ocean. These aren't just objects, they're fragments of history, whispers of empires that rose and fell, of adventurers who dared to seek the unimaginable. Think of the Ark of the Covenant, said to hold divine power, vanished without a trace. Or El Dorado, the legendary city of gold, a mirage that lured countless explorers to their doom. These treasures aren't just about wealth, they're about mystery, obsession, and the eternal human drive to uncover what's been lost. Now imagine this, there are still dozens of these legendary treasures out there waiting to be found. Some are tied to ancient curses, others to riddles left behind by kings and pirates. They're scattered across the globe, hidden in forgotten temples, sunken ships, and even beneath the streets of modern cities. And today, we're setting off on a journey to uncover 30 of the most incredible lost treasures still missing. From the fabled riches of King Solomon's mines to the lost crown jewels of a hidden kingdom, each of these treasures has a story that defies belief. What makes these legends so captivating isn't just the promise of gold or jewels, it's the unanswered questions. Who hid them, why were they lost, and could they still be out there, just waiting for the right explorer to stumble upon them? This isn't just a list, it's an invitation to step into the shoes of those who have spent lifetimes searching. Whether you're a history buff, an armchair adventurer, or just someone who loves a good mystery, these stories will pull you in, because the truth is, the greatest treasure of all might not be the gold, it's the thrill of the hunt itself. So, are you ready to dive into the unknown? Let's begin. The Ark of the Covenant stands as one of history's most revered and mysterious relics, a gilded chest said to contain the original stone tablets of the Ten Commandments handed down to Moses on Mount Sinai. More than just a sacred artifact, it was believed to hold divine power capable of parting rivers and leveling armies. According to biblical accounts, it resided in the Holy of Holies within Jerusalem's first temple, guarded by priests who risked death simply by gazing upon it. But then, around 586 BCE, disaster struck. The Babylonians ransacked Jerusalem, destroying the temple, and the Ark vanished without a trace. Where could it have gone? Some legends claim it was smuggled to Ethiopia by Menelik, the son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, hidden away in a chapel in Axum where it remains under heavy guard to this day. Others believe it was taken to Egypt or even buried deep beneath Temple Mount, concealed in a labyrinth of underground tunnels waiting to be rediscovered. Modern treasure hunters have dedicated their lives to uncovering the truth, from archaeological digs to high-tech scans of ancient sites. Yet, despite tantalizing clues like medieval accounts of crusaders glimpsing a gold-clad chest in a hidden chamber, no concrete evidence has ever surfaced. The real fascination with the Ark isn't just its religious significance, but the possibility that it still exists. Could it be hidden in plain sight, protected by generations of secret keepers? Or did it vanish forever, lost to war and time? The mystery endures, drawing explorers and scholars alike into a quest that spans centuries. Whether divine artifact or historical enigma, the Ark of the Covenant remains one of the greatest unsolved treasures, waiting perhaps for the right moment to reveal itself. Deep in the scorching heart of Arizona's Superstition Mountains lies a secret that has lured fortune seekers to their deaths for over a century: the Lost Dutchman's gold mine. This isn't just any mine, it's a treasure steeped in blood, betrayal, and whispers of a curse. The legend begins with the Peralta family, wealthy Mexican miners who allegedly discovered a fortune in gold here in the early 1800s, until Apache warriors ambushed them, leaving the land littered with bodies and the mine's location lost. Decades later, a German immigrant named Jacob Waltz, nicknamed the Dutchman, supposedly stumbled upon the Peralta cache. On his deathbed in 1891, he gave cryptic directions to the gold, muttering about a landmark called the Weaver's Needle and a hidden entrance only visible at twilight. But here's where the mystery deepens. Despite countless expeditions, some led by seasoned prospectors, others by amateur adventurers, no one has ever definitively found the Dutchman's treasure. The Superstition Mountains live up to their name, swallowing up hunters who vanish without a trace. Some say the terrain shifts, hiding the mine behind landslides. Others swear the spirits of the slaughtered Peraltas guard it, punishing intruders with freak accidents and eerie misfortunes. Even modern technology has failed. Ground-penetrating radar and satellite imagery reveal nothing in this labyrinth of canyons. What keeps people searching? It's more than greed. It's the tantalizing clues, a rusty pickaxe here, a weathered map there, that hint the Dutchman's gold might still be out there. And then there's the sheer audacity of the challenge, conquering a wilderness that's claimed lives as ruthlessly as any legend. Whether the mine is real or just a mirage of desperation, one thing's certain: the superstitions aren't giving up their secrets easily. The Dutchman's gold remains the ultimate test of luck, skill, and survival. And for those who dare to look, well, the mountains are always watching. Some treasures aren't merely lost, they're stolen masterpieces, torn from history with such audacity that their absence echoes louder than their splendor ever did. Among them, the Amber Room stands as one of the most breathtaking. Imagine an entire chamber lined with 6 tons of golden amber, painstakingly carved into intricate mosaics, framed by gilded mirrors and studded with precious stones. Crafted in the early 18th century as a gift from Prussia's King Friedrich Wilhelm to Russia's Peter the Great, it became the crown jewel of Catherine the Great's palace near St. Petersburg. For 2 centuries, it dazzled visitors, its walls glowing like captured sunlight. Then came the Nazis. In 1941, as German forces stormed into Russia, they dismantled the Amber Room in a matter of hours, packing it into crates and shipping it to Königsberg Castle in present-day Kaliningrad. By 1945, with Soviet troops closing in, the room vanished again, this time for good. Was it destroyed in the Allied bombings that reduced Königsberg to rubble? Hidden in a secret bunker, its entrance sealed by wartime explosions, or smuggled onto a ship now lying forgotten at the bottom of the Baltic Sea, theories abound, each more tantalizing than the last. Treasure hunters have combed through declassified documents, followed cryptic notes from Nazi officers, and even explored flooded mines in the Czech Republic. In the 1990s, a fragment of the room, an original mosaic, surfaced in Germany, fueling speculation that the rest might still be intact. More recently, sonar scans detected an anomaly near a sunken Nazi steamer off Poland's coast, prompting whispers that the crates could be nestled in its hull. Yet, despite decades of searching, the Amber Room remains a ghost, a whisper of gilt and honey-colored stone, waiting to be pulled back into the light. What makes this hunt so compelling isn't just the value of the amber, but the audacity of its disappearance. This wasn't just loot, it was a symbol, a testament to human artistry and the brutality of war. Could it still be out there, hidden in plain sight, or was it lost to the chaos of history? The answer, like the room itself, remains just out of reach. Montezuma's treasure isn't just gold. It's the shattered remnants of an empire's final act of defiance. When Hernán Cortés and his conquistadors stormed into Tenochtitlan in 1519, the Aztec emperor, facing certain defeat, ordered his vast hoard of gold, jewels, and sacred artifacts hidden. The Spanish expected to plunder palaces overflowing with wealth, but instead they found empty halls. The treasure had vanished. Some say it was smuggled north by loyal servants, buried in the labyrinthine caves of Utah's Kanab Canyon. Others believe it lies at the bottom of the sacred cenote in Chichén Itzá, where the Aztecs cast offerings to the gods. But despite centuries of searching, no one has ever proven its whereabouts. The legends surrounding this treasure are as intricate as Aztec glyphs. Spanish chronicles describe golden figurines, emerald-studded masks, and piles of tribute from conquered cities, enough wealth to bankroll an empire. Yet after Cortés executed Montezuma, the trail went cold. In the 1800s, a prospector named Freddy Crystal claimed to have found a map leading to Canab Canyon, where he uncovered Aztec-style markings and tunnels. Locals reported hearing whispers of ghost lights near the caves, as if spirits guarded the site. Meanwhile, dredging operations in the sacred cenote have yielded golden ornaments and human bones, hints of sacrificial offerings, but not the emperor's legendary cache. What makes this hunt so compelling is the sheer scale of the mystery. Could an entire empire's treasure have slipped through Cortés' grasp? Modern archaeologists point to the logistical nightmare of moving tons of gold undetected, suggesting much of it was likely melted down by the Spanish. But romantics and treasure hunters refuse to believe it. They point to oddities like the Aztec-like artifacts found in Utah's caves, or the strange, sudden wealth of certain Mexican families in the years after the conquest. The truth may lie somewhere between myth and history, a treasure not entirely lost but waiting for someone to piece together the clues buried in time. Until then, Montezuma's gold remains one of history's greatest vanishing acts. The treasure of Lima sounds like something ripped straight from a pirate novel because in many ways it is. Picture this: in 1820, as Spain's grip on South America began to crumble, the Spanish governor of Lima faced a revolt. Desperate to keep the city's staggering wealth out of rebel hands, he loaded an entire fortune onto a British ship called the Mary Dear. We're talking about golden religious statues studded with gems, solid gold bars, jeweled swords, and chests overflowing with silver coins, enough treasure to rival the spoils of an empire. The ship's captain, William Thompson, was entrusted with delivering it to Mexico for safekeeping, but greed had other plans. Thompson and his crew turned pirate, slaughtering the Spanish guards and vanishing into the Pacific. Legend says they buried the haul on Cocos Island, a tiny speck of jungle off Costa Rica's coast, where waterfalls hide caves and the terrain shifts with every rainy season. Thompson allegedly left behind a coded map, but when authorities captured him years later, he refused to reveal the location even under torture. Ever since, Cocos Island has been the ultimate treasure hunter's playground. Over 300 expeditions have scoured its misty cliffs, from aristocratic adventurers in the 1800s to modern teams with satellite imaging. Some returned with tantalizing clues: a rusty anchor here, a carved arrow pointing inland there. Others found nothing but mud and malaria, yet the mystery only deepens. In the 1930s, a German explorer named August Gisler claimed to have found a golden Madonna in a cave, only for it to vanish before he could prove it. Decades later, a British team uncovered a series of artificial tunnels, but storms forced them to abandon the dig. And here's the twist: some researchers now believe the treasure was never on Cocos at all. Costa Rican archives mention a secretive mule train moving inland around the same time, sparking theories that the loot was hauled into the mainland's impenetrable jungles. Could it still be there, hidden under centuries of vines and volcanic soil? What makes this story so irresistible isn't just the treasure. It's the sheer audacity of the theft and the countless lives spent chasing a ghost. Whether it's on Cocos Island or deep in Costa Rica's wilderness, one thing's certain: the treasure of Lima refuses to be found, and for those who dare to look. The hunt is far from over. The Florentine diamond isn't just a gem, it's a saga of stolen brilliance passing through the hands of emperors, thieves, and perhaps even Nazis. This rare 137-carat yellow diamond, with its distinctive 9-sided cut and eerie glow, was once the pride of the Medici family, then the Habsburg crown jewels, until it simply disappeared. Its last confirmed sighting, Vienna in 1918, when the Habsburg Empire collapsed. After that, the trail goes cold, sparking debates that pit historians against treasure hunters. Was it smuggled to South America by fleeing royals, or did it fall into the hands of the Third Reich, only to be lost in the chaos of war? What makes this stone so captivating isn't just its size or color. It's the sheer audacity of its vanishing act. One theory claims a Habsburg loyalist smuggled it to Brazil, where it was recut to avoid detection, its identity erased by the grind of a jeweler's wheel. Others whisper it was seized by the Nazis, who looted Europe's treasures with meticulous greed. In 1945, American troops reportedly found a cache of gems in a salt mine near Austria, among them a large yellow diamond that matched the Florentines' description. But here's the twist: by the time investigators arrived, the stone was gone. Had it been stolen, misplaced, or worse, destroyed in the Allied bombings that turned German vaults to rubble? Gemologists obsess over this mystery because the Florentine represents more than lost wealth. It's a piece of cutting history. Its unique double rose cut, a masterpiece of Renaissance craftsmanship, hasn't been replicated. If it still exists, it could rewrite what we know about gem technology. Yet every lead hits a dead end. A 1950s rumor placed it in the hands of a Swiss jeweler who allegedly broke it into smaller stones to sell discreetly. In the 1980s, a South American heiress claimed her family had hidden it for decades, but no proof ever surfaced. The truth may lie somewhere between hope and obsession. Could the Florentine be gathering dust in a private collection, its true identity hidden behind layers of secrecy? Or is it fragments now scattered across the globe, its legacy reduced to whispers? Until someone produces the stone or undeniable evidence of its fate, this diamond remains one of history's most luminous ghosts, and for those who chase it. The hunt isn't just about wealth, it's about reclaiming a spark of the past that refuses to fade. The crown jewels of Ireland weren't just symbols of monarchy, they were a blazing target in a nation fighting for independence. In 1907, someone walked into Dublin Castle's heavily guarded Bedford Tower and stole the entire collection. A diamond-studded star, a jeweled badge, and 5 collars of the Order of St. Patrick, all valued at millions today. The audacity was staggering. These weren't just kept in a display case, they were locked in a safe, guarded around the clock. Yet on the morning of July 6th, the safe stood open, its contents gone. To this day, no one knows for certain who took them or where they vanished. What makes this theft so tantalizing is the political powder keg of the era. Ireland was simmering with rebellion against British rule, and rumors swirled that the theft was an inside job, an act of sabotage by Irish nationalists. Suspicion fell on Francis Shackleton, brother to the famed explorer Ernest Shackleton, who worked in the castle and had ties to both the establishment and underground circles. Then there's Captain Richard Gorges, a disgraced army officer with a gambling habit, who was seen near the tower that night. Both men were questioned, but evidence was flimsy and the jewels never surfaced. Theories spiral from there. Some say the regalia were smuggled to Amsterdam and dismantled, their gems sold piece by piece on the black market. Others insist Irish rebels buried them in the Wicklow Mountains, waiting for a free Ireland to reclaim them. In the 1930s, a Dublin pub owner claimed his father helped hide the jewels in a cellar, but excavations turned up nothing, even more bizarre. In 2018, archivists discovered a century-old letter hinting the theft was orchestrated by British intelligence to frame Irish radicals, a twist that would rewrite history. What remains is a void where a kingdom's treasures once lay. The crime scene was bungled from the start. Detectives tracked mud over footprints, and the safe's lock was picked so cleanly, experts still debate whether it was an inside job. Modern historians pore over faded police reports, while treasure hunters chase whispers of a hidden vault beneath Dublin streets. The crown jewels of Ireland aren't just missing, they're a phantom limb of a fractured past, a riddle wrapped in nationalism, betrayal, and maybe, just maybe, a revolution's secret triumph. The story of the lost Inca gold begins with one of history's most staggering ransoms and one of its greatest betrayals. When Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro captured the Inca emperor Atahualpa in 1532, he demanded a room filled with gold and silver as the price for his freedom. For months, caravans streamed into Cajamarca from across the empire, delivering intricate golden statues, ceremonial vessels, and sheets of hammered metal to stack floor to ceiling. The ransom, worth billions today, was nearly complete when Pizarro, fearing an Inca uprising, executed Atahualpa anyway. The news sent shockwaves through the Andes. According to chroniclers, the remaining treasure, a procession of gold still en route, was diverted into the mountains, hidden by loyal Inca warriors in the labyrinthine peaks of the Danganotti's range. This wasn't just hiding wealth, it was an act of defiance. The Danganottis, a mist-shrouded wilderness in modern-day Ecuador, is no ordinary landscape. Its jagged peaks are laced with swamps, sudden storms, and dense fog that disorients even seasoned explorers. Indigenous lore speaks of tunnels carved into the rock, guarded by spirits, and booby trapped with collapsing passageways. Spanish treasure hunters who ventured here in the 16th century vanished without a trace, their skeletons sometimes found decades later, their journals scribbled with warnings about cursed gold. Even today, the terrain resists modern technology. Satellite images can't penetrate the constant cloud cover, and ground scans reveal nothing in the shifting volcanic soil. Yet the hunt persists. In the 1920s, British explorer Captain Blake claimed to have found a cave system filled with golden idols, only to die mysteriously days later, his maps stolen, his notes burned. Decades after that, an eccentric treasure hunter named Valverde left detailed directions to the hoard, mentioning a lake where the gold sleeps, but searchers who followed his clues either came back empty-handed or didn't come back at all. The most compelling twist: geologists confirm the area is rich in minerals, with ancient mine shafts suggesting the Inca did indeed stash something of immense value here. What makes this legend endure isn't just the treasure, it's the unresolved tension between history and myth. Could an empire's ransom still lie hidden in those fog-draped mountains, or was it melted down by Spanish looters long ago? The Danganottis keep their secrets close, punishing those who pry too greedily. For every explorer who swears they've glimpsed golden reflections in the highland lakes, there are those who warn some treasures are meant to stay lost. Of all the Dead Sea Scrolls discovered in the mid-20th century, none is as baffling or as tantalizing as the Copper Scroll. Unlike its fragile parchment counterparts, this document is etched onto thin sheets of copper, as if the authors wanted its message to endure the ages. And what a message it is! This isn't a religious text or a historical account, it's a treasure map. A detailed, cryptic inventory of 64 locations where vast quantities of gold, silver, and sacred temple artifacts were supposedly hidden before the Romans sacked Jerusalem in 70 CE. The descriptions are maddeningly specific yet frustratingly vague. In the cavity of the old house of tribute in the chain platform, 65 bars of gold. Under the staircase of the upper salt pit, a silver chest. The challenge: these landmarks either no longer exist or their meanings have been lost to time. Jerusalem's ancient topography has been reshaped by wars, earthquakes, and 2,000 years of rebuilding. The old house of tribute might be a long-demolished administrative building. The upper salt pit could refer to anything from a quarry to a ritual bath. Even the measurements are enigmatic. Some entries list weights in talents, an ancient unit that varied by region and era. And then there's the scroll's eerie conclusion, a final entry mentioning a duplicate scroll with even more precise directions which has never been found. Treasure hunters and scholars have spent decades trying to crack the code. Some believe the treasures belong to the Second Temple, hidden by priests to protect them from Roman plunder. Others argue the scroll describes loot from the First Temple, saved centuries earlier during the Babylonian invasion. A few even speculate it's a deliberate red herring, meant to send invaders on wild goose chases while the real treasures were spirited away. Modern technology hasn't helped much. Ground-penetrating radar and satellite imaging can't pinpoint 2,000-year-old staircases or salt pits, the most compelling twist. In the 1960s, an archaeologist followed the scroll's clues to a cave near Jericho and found a single ancient silver ring, proof, perhaps, that the list wasn't entirely myth. But the greater hoard remains elusive. Could these treasures still lie beneath modern Jerusalem, hidden under layers of concrete and centuries of history? Or were they found long ago, melted down or scattered, their origins forgotten? The copper scroll refuses to give up its secrets. It stands as both an invitation and a taunt, a puzzle wrapped in metal, waiting for the right mind to decode it. The Knights Templar weren't just warriors. They were bankers, diplomats, and arguably the wealthiest organization in medieval Europe. By the early 14th century, their network stretched from Jerusalem to London, their vaults overflowing with gold, relics, and loans to kings. Then, in 1307, King Philip Roman IV of France, drowning in debt to the order, launched a brutal purge. Templars were arrested en masse, tortured into confessing heresy, and burned at the stake. But here's the mystery. When officials raided their Paris treasury, they found it nearly empty. Where did the treasure go? Some believe it was smuggled overnight, hidden in the labyrinthine tunnels beneath their headquarters, or whisked away by loyalists to remote strongholds. One persistent legend points to Rennes-le-Château, a sleepy French village where a 19th-century priest reportedly discovered Templar gold beneath his church. He suddenly renovated the village with unexplained wealth, fueling theories of a hidden hoard. Others insist the treasure crossed the Atlantic, pointing to Oak Island's infamous money pit, where strange wooden platforms and booby-trapped tunnels hint at a medieval operation. The pit's layers of logs, coconut fiber, and flood channels match descriptions of Templar engineering, but after centuries of digs, no one's proven the link. What makes this hunt so gripping isn't just the gold. It's the Templars themselves, shadowy, sophisticated, and allegedly guarding secrets far darker than wealth. Some claim they hid the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant alongside their riches. Others argue their treasure was knowledge of forbidden manuscripts or maps to ancient sites burned or buried to keep it from the church. Modern historians note that much of their wealth was likely seized by Philip's allies or absorbed by rival orders, but Romantics refuse to accept that. They point to cryptic Templar symbols carved into Scottish chapels, or the sudden rise of wealthy banking families in Switzerland after the purge. The truth may lie: scattered gold melted down, relics traded, secrets lost. Yet the allure endures, whether it's beneath Rennes-le-Château's cobblestones or at the bottom of Oak Island's flooded shaft. The Templar treasure remains the ultimate historical detective story. And for those who still search, the past is a puzzle with missing pieces someone someday might just uncover. In 1822, a Virginia innkeeper named Robert Morris received a locked box from a mysterious guest named Thomas Beale, a man who'd spent months at the inn before vanishing without a trace. Inside the box were 3 cipher texts, and a letter claiming one of them revealed the location of a buried treasure. Thousands of pounds of gold and silver hidden in the wilds of Bedford County. Beale's letter insisted the hoard belonged to his band of adventurers who'd mined it out west in 1818. He promised to send Morris a key to decode the ciphers, but the key never arrived. Decades later, a pamphlet surfaced containing the ciphers along with a tantalizing claim. One had been cracked using the Declaration of Independence as a cipher key. It described a vault filled with precious metals and jewels, but the other 2, including the one pinpointing the treasure's exact location, remained unsolved, taunting fortune hunters for generations. What makes the Beale ciphers so maddening isn't just the code. It's the doubt swirling around their very existence. Skeptics argue the whole story reeks of a hoax. The pamphlet's publisher, James Ward, had a knack for sensational stories, and no records of Thomas Beale or his mining party have ever been found. Even the cracked cipher raises eyebrows. Why use the declaration for only one code but leave the others unbreakable? Modern cryptographers have thrown supercomputers at the remaining ciphers, analyzing letter frequencies and testing every conceivable key, from Shakespearean texts to complex mathematical algorithms. Nothing fits. Some believe the ciphers are nothing but gibberish, an elaborate 19th century prank designed to sell pamphlets, yet the hunt persists. Over the years, would-be treasure hunters have dug up half of Bedford County, following shaky interpretations of the decoded cipher's clues. One man dynamited a hillside after convinced the phrase, 4 miles from Buford's Tavern, pointed to a cave. Another drained a pond, certain the treasure lay beneath its muddy bed. All came up empty. The most compelling twist, in 2019, a team of codebreakers claimed to find linguistic patterns suggesting the remaining ciphers might be solvable after all, but their findings remain hotly debated. Whether fact or fiction, the Beale ciphers have cemented their place in treasure lore. They represent the ultimate test of patience and ingenuity, a riddle wrapped in paper, sealed with skepticism, and buried under 2 centuries of obsession. And for those who still dream of cracking the code, the real treasure might not be gold, but the thrill of chasing a mystery that refuses to yield. The Paciolo necklace wasn't just jewelry, it was a spectacle of imperial opulence, a cascade of platinum and diamonds so audacious it defied gravity. Crafted by Cartier in 1928 for Maharaja Bhupinder Singh of Paciolo, this 5-tiered masterpiece held nearly 3,000 diamonds, including the legendary De Beers diamond, a staggering 234-carat yellow gem at its center. It was a statement of power, draped around the neck of a ruler who once owned a fleet of Rolls-Royces and a personal train with solid silver fittings. But by 1948, as India shook off colonial rule and princely states dissolved, the necklace vanished from the royal treasury, the mystery. No one noticed it was gone for decades. What happened to it reads like a thriller. Some claim the necklace was smuggled to Europe, its gems pried out and sold separately to avoid detection. In 1982, Cartier itself stumbled upon the platinum framework in a London pawnshop, bent, stripped bare, like the skeleton of a plundered king. The De Beers diamond and the other major stones were nowhere to be found. But here's where the trail twists. Whispers persist that some of those gems still surface in elite auctions, reborn as earrings or pendants, their origins discreetly erased. In 2003, a 7/8-carat diamond matching the necklace's description sold in Geneva under cryptic provenance, fueling speculation that the necklace's dismantled pieces are still out there, circulating among collectors who'd rather not ask questions. The intrigue deepens when you consider the Maharaja's own legacy. His descendants insist the necklace was stolen during the chaotic partition era, possibly by insiders who knew the royal vaults better than anyone. Others believe it was pawned secretly by the cash-strapped family themselves, a desperate move to fund their fading aristocracy. Cartier's attempts to reconstruct the necklace in 2001 using cubic zirconia to stand in for the missing stones only underscored the scale of the loss. That replica now sits in their museum, a ghost of the original's grandeur. What makes this hunt so compelling isn't just the monetary value, it's the cultural sin of its disappearance. This wasn't just a necklace, it was a relic of India's Gilded Age, a time when Maharajas rivaled European monarchs in splendor. Could the De Beers diamond still exist, locked away in some billionaire's safe? Or was it recut into smaller stones, its history dissolved into the global gem trade? The Paciolo necklace remains a glittering enigma, a reminder that even the grandest treasures can vanish into the shadows of time, leaving behind only whispers and a platinum shell of what once was. Deep beneath the jungles of the Philippines lies a wartime secret so massive, it could rewrite the history of World War II. General Tomoyuki Yamashita's lost gold. As Japan's empire crumbled in 1945, the so-called Tiger of Malaya allegedly ordered his troops to stash billions in looted treasure across a network of hidden tunnels and caves. Think gold bars stacked like firewood, religious artifacts pried from temples, and gemstones ripped from conquered kingdoms, all vanished into the earth. The scale defies belief, but here's where the story splits. Historians clash over whether Yamashita's gold is fact or a mirage born of desperation and greed. The legend begins with Japan's brutal occupation of Southeast Asia, where soldiers systematically stripped banks, palaces, and even private homes of their wealth. Survivors described convoys of trucks rumbling into the mountains, their cargo unloaded under cover of darkness. Some accounts claim American intelligence agents tracked the loot to the Philippines, where Yamashita's engineers booby-trapped tunnels with dynamite and collapsing ceilings. Then came the bombshell. In 1971, Filipino treasure hunter Rogelio Roxas swore he'd found part of the hoard, a golden Buddha statue and crates of bullion beneath a hospital in Baguio City. His subsequent arrest by then-dictator Ferdinand Marcos's forces and the statue's mysterious reappearance in the Marcos family vault sparked decades of lawsuits and conspiracy theories. Legal battles only thickened the mystery. In 1996, a Hawaiian court awarded Roxas's heirs a staggering $22 billion in damages, ruling Marcos had stolen the treasure, a verdict later overturned on technicalities. Meanwhile, archaeologists point out the lack of physical evidence. No tunnel systems matching the descriptions have been conclusively mapped, and recovered Yamashita gold often proves to be post-war smelters' marks, not wartime plunder. Yet the Philippine government still issues treasure hunting permits, and every few years a new tunnel is discovered, fueling fresh rushes of hopeful diggers. What keeps this legend alive isn't just the gold, it's the shadows it casts. Former CIA agents have hinted at classified documents confirming the loot's existence, while skeptics argue the tale was exaggerated to justify Marcos's own corrupt wealth. Modern tech could settle the debate, LiDAR scans and ground-penetrating radar, but the Philippine jungles resist easy answers. Vines swallow excavation sites, and monsoon rains flood tunnels within days. For every team that claims to have found a shaft lined with wartime pickaxes, there's another that walks away empty-handed. Yamashita's gold straddles the line between history and myth, a relic of war's chaos and human obsession. Whether it's real or not, the treasure has already left its mark on laws, lives, and the enduring dream that somewhere in those emerald hills, a fortune waits for whoever dares to dig deep enough. And perhaps that's the point. Some treasures aren't measured in gold, but in the stories we refuse to let die. The missing Fabergé eggs aren't just lost treasures, they're fragments of a glittering dynasty, swallowed by revolution and war. Between 1885 and 1916, the House of Fabergé crafted 50 exquisite jeweled eggs for Russia's imperial family, each a masterpiece of gold, enamel, and gemstones, hiding intricate surprises inside, from miniature portraits to clockwork songbirds. Today, only 43 have been found. The rest vanished into history's chaos, their fates as enigmatic as the Romanovs themselves. Take the 1886 hen egg with sapphire pendant, one of the most tantalizing gaps in the collection. Records describe it as a white enamel shell opening to reveal a golden hen, which in turn concealed a diamond-studded replica of the imperial crown inside that, a tiny sapphire pendant. It was the second egg ever made for Tsar Alexander III, a gift to his wife, Empress Maria Feodorovna. But after the Romanovs' brutal execution in 1918, the egg disappeared. Some believe it was smuggled out by loyalists during the Bolshevik uprising, sold secretly to fund the royal family in exile. Others whisper it was looted by Soviet officials, melted down for its gold in a regime that saw such opulence as a crime. The hunt for these eggs reads like a detective novel. In 2012, a scrap metal dealer in the American Midwest stumbled upon a gold and diamond egg at a flea market, bought it for $14,000, and later discovered it was the long-lost 1887 third imperial egg worth $33 million. That find reignited hopes that others might still surface in attics or vaults, mislabeled as mere trinkets. One persistent rumor places the missing hen egg in a private European collection, its identity hidden by generations of cautious owners. Another theory ties it to a notorious 1920s art thief who specialized in smuggling Romanov treasures to the West. What makes these eggs so captivating isn't just their craftsmanship, it's the human drama they carry. Each one was a love letter from Tsar to Tsarina, a symbol of a world that crumbled overnight. The idea that 7 still linger out there, perhaps tucked away in a dusty drawer or displayed unknowingly as a curiosity, is irresistible. For collectors and historians, every flea market holds the promise of a royal surprise, and for the rest of us, they're reminders that even the most exquisite treasures can slip through history's cracks, waiting for the right moment to sparkle again. The Black Prince's ruby isn't just a gem, it's a survivor. This blood-red spinel, roughly the size of a chicken egg, has witnessed coronations, betrayals, and near-miss catastrophes over 600 turbulent years. Its story begins in 14th century Spain, where it was mined from the mountains of Granada, then passed through the hands of Moorish princes and Castilian kings before landing in the possession of Edward of Woodstock, the infamous Black Prince. Legend claims he received it as payment for helping a Spanish ruler reclaim his throne, though some historians argue it was outright plunder. Either way, the stone became a symbol of English royalty, mounted on the helmet of Henry V at the Battle of Agincourt, where it narrowly avoided being shattered by a French duke's axe. By the 1600s, the ruby had found its permanent home in the British crown jewels, set prominently atop the imperial state crown. But then came the English Civil War, when Oliver Cromwell's forces overthrew the monarchy in 1649. Parliament ordered the crown jewels dismantled and sold, their gemstones scattered to pay for the new republic. Gold was melted down, scepters were broken, but the Black Prince's ruby vanished without a trace. Officially, it was listed as destroyed, yet whispers persisted that royalists had smuggled it away, hiding it in a noble family's vault, or even embedding it in plain sight within another piece of jewelry to evade detection. The mystery deepens when you consider the ruby's sudden reappearance after the monarchy was restored in 1660. Charles II's coronation regalia included a spinel of similar size and description, though its provenance was suspiciously vague. Was it the original stone secretly returned by sympathizers, or a clever replica crafted to maintain the illusion of continuity? Gemologists have debated this for centuries. The spinel in today's crown jewels does match historical accounts, but without definitive records, no one can prove it's the same one worn by the Black Prince. What fuels modern treasure hunters isn't just the gem's potential value, it's the tantalizing paper trail left behind. Auction records from the 1650s mention a large red spinel sold to a Dutch merchant, while a diary from a Cromwell-era officer references a king's jewel hidden in the walls of a Yorkshire manor. In 2012, a metal detectorist unearthed a 17th-century pendant near Oxford with a hollow compartment, sparking speculation that it might have been used to smuggle the stone. None of these leads have panned out yet. The most compelling theory: the ruby never left the Tower of London at all. Some historians argue Cromwell's men, recognizing its symbolic importance, staged its destruction while secretly locking it away in a vault beneath the tower's foundations. After all, the crown jewel's inventory has gaps, and the tower's underground tunnels remain largely unexplored. Whether it's gathering dust in an aristocrat's attic or waiting beneath centuries-old stonework, the Black Prince's ruby remains a glittering question mark, one that challenges us to wonder how much of history's treasure is truly lost and how much is just hiding in plain sight. The Confederate gold isn't just missing money, it's the ghost of a failed nation, a fortune that slipped through the fingers of a collapsing regime. By April 1865, the American Civil War was ending and the Confederate government was in chaos. As Union forces closed in on Richmond, Virginia, Confederate President Jefferson Davis and his cabinet fled south by train, wagons, and horseback, carrying what remained of the treasury: gold and silver coins, bullion, and jewelry seized from southern banks. Estimates vary wildly, but some accounts suggest the hoard was worth millions in today's dollars. Then, somewhere between Virginia and Georgia, it vanished. Theories about its fate are as tangled as the Georgia backroads where it might still lie. One persistent legend claims the gold was buried near the small town of Danburg in Wilkes County, Georgia, under the cover of darkness. Locals whisper of a secret nighttime operation where Confederate soldiers dug a pit near the Chenault plantation, lowered crates of gold into the earth, and swore an oath of silence. Decades later, a dying soldier allegedly confessed his role to a preacher, drawing a map that led to a series of fruitless excavations in the early 20th century. Others believe the treasure was split among high-ranking Confederate officials, smuggled out of the country to fund exile governments in Cuba or Brazil. But here's where the mystery twists. Union cavalry under General James H. Wilson reportedly intercepted part of the treasury in May 1865, recovering around $150,000 in gold near the Savannah River. Yet Confederate records suggest far more was unaccounted for, enough to fuel conspiracy theories for generations. Some historians argue the lost gold was a myth from the start, exaggerated by desperate Southerners clinging to hope of rebuilding. Others point to bank ledgers showing sudden, unexplained deposits in European accounts just after the war, hinting at a quiet escape, the most tantalizing clue. In 2015, a team of researchers using ground-penetrating radar detected an unusual metal deposit near a Georgia railroad line that matched the route of Davis's fleeing entourage. But before they could dig, legal battles over land rights stalled the effort, leaving the question unanswered. Could the Confederate gold still be out there, hidden beneath layers of red clay and oak roots? Or was it melted down, spent, or scattered long ago, its legend outweighing its reality? The truth, like the Confederacy itself, might be lost to history, but the hunt for it is very much alive. Deep in the jagged peaks of Mexico's Sierra Madre, a legend lingers, one so potent it inspired one of Hollywood's greatest adventures. The Treasure of the Sierra Madre isn't just a movie title. It's a real-life mystery rooted in the chaos of Mexico's 19th-century bandit wars. Outlaws like Pancho Villa and José Vázquez robbed stagecoaches, trains, and mining camps, amassing fortunes in gold and silver before vanishing into the mountains. Stories swirl of caves packed with stolen bullion, hidden so well that even the bandits themselves sometimes couldn't find their way back. But unlike the film's fictional gold, historians argue there's tangible evidence that at least some of these caches are still out there, waiting beneath layers of dust and thorny brush. Take the infamous Lost Padre mine, a tale that's equal parts history and campfire yarn. In the 1870s, a Jesuit priest fleeing anti-clerical raids supposedly buried a hoard of church gold near the town of Batapilas. Locals still point to weathered carvings in canyon walls, crosses, and arrows claiming their clues left behind. Then there's the Bandits' Bluff near Durango, where outlaw Heraclio Bernal allegedly stashed looted silver in a cliffside crevice after ambushing a government convoy. Treasure hunters have scoured these sites for generations, armed with everything from hand-drawn maps to drones, but the Sierra Madre doesn't give up its secrets easily. Landslides reshape the terrain, and old markers crumble into ambiguity. Modern expeditions blend old-school grit with cutting-edge tech. In 2018, a team using LiDAR scanning uncovered what they believed to be a collapsed mine shaft near Chihuahua, its entrance obscured by centuries of growth. Ground-penetrating radar hinted at metal deposits below, but legal battles with local landowners stalled further digging. Another group, following a diary from a 19th-century miner, spent weeks tracing a dry riverbed described as the Serpent's Path, only to find the landscape altered by flash floods. The real challenge separating fact from folklore. Many so-called treasure maps are clever fakes sold to gullible tourists, while genuine leads often vanish into bureaucratic red tape or dangerous turf disputes with cartels. What keeps the hunt alive isn't just greed, it's the Sierra Madre's siren call of possibility. Prospectors swap stories of glints in the rocks after heavy rains or strange echoes in certain caves that sound like coins shifting underfoot. And while skeptics dismiss it all as romanticized myth, a handful of discoveries lend credence to the tales. In 1962, a farmer plowing his field near Topia unearthed a rusted strongbox filled with Spanish colonial coin. In 2012, hikers stumbled upon a crevice littered with antique firearm cartridges and a single gold ingot stamped with an 1880s mint mark. Tiny victories, perhaps, but enough to fuel the dream that somewhere in those sun-baked cliffs, a bandit's fortune still lies forgotten, as wild and untamed as the land that hides it. The Nuestra Señora de Atocha wasn't just a ship, it was a floating treasure vault carrying the wealth of an empire on the eve of disaster. When it set sail from Havana in September 1622, the Spanish galleon was packed with a staggering fortune: 24 tons of silver ingots, 180,000 silver coins, gold bars, and a cache of emeralds so vast it could rival a king's ransom. But the Atocha never made it home. A hurricane slammed into the fleet off the Florida Keys, driving the ship onto a coral reef. The hull cracked open like an egg, spilling its riches into the churning sea. Of the 265 souls aboard, only 5 survived. And for centuries the treasure lay scattered across the ocean floor, taunting salvagers with glimpses of its bounty. Mel Fisher, the man who would become the Atocha's most famous hunter, spent 16 years chasing its ghost. Armed with historical archives and a gut feeling, he combed the waters near the Marquesas Keys, battling financial ruin, legal battles, and even the tragic deaths of his son and daughter-in-law in a diving accident. Then, in 1985, his team hit the jackpot, a trail of silver bars leading to the motherlode, chests of coins, gold artifacts, and the legendary Emerald Cross, a pendant studded with flawless Colombian emeralds. The find made headlines worldwide, valued at nearly $500 million today. But here's the twist: experts believe only half the treasure was recovered. The ocean guards its secrets fiercely. The Atocha's stern castle, where the richest cargo was stored, has never been found. Spanish manifests list over 200 emeralds still unaccounted for, along with dozens of silver bars. Modern expeditions keep pushing the search further into deeper waters, where shifting sands and strong currents make every dive a gamble. In 2011, salvage teams unearthed another 60 silver ingots and a gold chalice near the original wreck site, proving the ocean still holds surprises. Some speculate the missing emeralds could be nestled in a coral-encrusted crevice, hidden by centuries of sediment. Others think they were carried miles away by storms, waiting to be discovered by a lucky snorkeler or a high-tech submersible. What makes the Atocha so magnetic isn't just the glitter of gold, it's the human drama behind it. Each artifact tells a story: a silver bar stamped with the mark of a Bolivian mine, a coin bearing the profile of King Philip IV, an emerald pried from the earth by indigenous laborers under brutal colonial rule. The ship's final moments, frozen in time, offer a haunting glimpse into the ruthlessness of the Spanish Empire and the fragility of its ambitions. For treasure hunters, the Atocha remains the ultimate prize. Fisher's famous motto, "Today's the day," still echoes among divers who scan the seabed with metal detectors and sonar. And with every storm that reshapes the ocean floor, the possibility lingers. Somewhere in those turquoise waters, the Atocha's last treasures wait, shimmering just out of reach, daring someone to finish the story. Oak Island's money pit isn't just a hole in the ground, it's a centuries-old riddle that's consumed fortunes, lives, and sanity. Nestled off Nova Scotia's rugged coast, this waterlogged pit has lured everyone from Victorian treasure hunters to modern tech tycoons, all convinced something monumental lies beneath its muddy layers. The story begins in 1795, when a teenager named Daniel Maginnis stumbled upon a peculiar depression in the soil, ringed by flagstones and dangling from an oak tree above, a weathered block and tackle. Digging down, he hit wooden platforms every 10 feet, layers of logs, coconut fiber, and mysterious markings until seawater suddenly flooded the shaft. That's when the legend took hold. This wasn't just a hole, it was a booby-trapped vault engineered to guard a secret so valuable, someone went to unimaginable lengths to hide it. But what could justify such an elaborate setup? Theories spiral from the plausible to the fantastical. Some swear it's pirate loot, Captain Kidd's buried plunder, or Blackbeard's lost treasure hidden far from prying eyes. Others argue it's the lost manuscripts of Shakespeare, smuggled out of England by Francis Bacon's secret society, sealed away to protect explosive truths about the bard's identity. Then there's the Knights Templar angle, suggesting exiled knights hauled the Holy Grail or Ark of the Covenant here during the Middle Ages, carving the pit's intricate flood tunnels as a last line of defense. Even wilder whispers point to Marie Antoinette's missing jewels or Viking hoards from 1,000 years ago. The pit doesn't discriminate, it welcomes every crackpot theory with equal intrigue. The real drama, though, lies in the brutal reality of excavation. Over 200 years of digging have yielded mostly heartbreak and oddities, a scrap of parchment here, a Spanish copper coin there. In 1849, the Truro Company hit a layer of oak and something metallic, perhaps a chest, before the tunnels flooded again, destroying their equipment. In 1861, a worker died when a boiler exploded, adding to the pit's grim tally. By the 1960s, the Restall family lost 4 members to carbon monoxide poisoning in the shafts. Even today, high-tech teams with sonar and drilling rigs battle the island's relentless tides, pumping out seawater only for it to rush back in, as if the pit itself is fighting back. What keeps people coming isn't just the promise of treasure, it's the tantalizing breadcrumbs. In 1971, a camera lowered into a borehole captured murky images of what some swear are wooden chests and human hands. Core samples brought up strands of gold chain and fibers matching 16th century Spanish military uniforms. Then there's the infamous 90-foot stone, a slab pulled from the pit in the early 1800s, inscribed with cryptic symbols that allegedly translated to 40 feet below, 2 million pounds lie buried. The stone vanished, of course, like so much else in this story. Skeptics argue the money pit is a natural sinkhole, its platforms just fallen trees, its treasure a figment of collective delusion. But romantics counter. Why the coconut fiber found nowhere else in Nova Scotia? Why the precise engineering of the flood tunnels which trace back to nearby beaches? Modern excavations have revealed a complex system of channels, some lined with centuries-old hand-tooled wood, suggesting human design. Yet after millions spent and 6 lives lost, the pit guards its secrets as fiercely as ever. Perhaps the real treasure is the obsession itself, the unshakable belief that beneath all that mud and mystery, something extraordinary waits. For every broken dream, there's a new team willing to bet it all on one more dig. Because in the end, Oak Island isn't just about gold or manuscripts, it's about the human need to unravel the impossible, to stare into the abyss of history and demand answers. And as long as that pit keeps swallowing hopes and spitting out riddles, the hunt will never die. Deep beneath the cobblestone streets of Moscow, hidden under layers of history and political upheaval, lies one of the greatest intellectual losses the world has ever known: the lost library of Ivan the Terrible. This isn't just a missing collection of books, it's a potential treasure trove of ancient knowledge, rumored to house priceless Greek and Byzantine manuscripts, along with texts so rare they could rewrite entire chapters of history. The legend traces back to Ivan IV, Russia's infamous Tsar, whose obsession with power was matched only by his passion for collecting. In the 1500s, he amassed a library so vast it rivaled the great collections of Constantinople and Alexandria, filled with illuminated gospels, philosophical treatises, and scientific works lost to time. Then, abruptly, the entire archive vanished. Theories about its fate are as tangled as the Kremlin's own labyrinthine corridors. Some historians argue Ivan hid the library beneath the Kremlin itself, sealing it within a network of secret chambers to protect it from fires and invasions. Others believe it was smuggled out of Moscow during times of turmoil, dispersed among monasteries, or buried in the countryside by loyalists, the most tantalizing clue. In the 1970s, construction workers digging near the Kremlin's Arsenal Tower uncovered a mysterious underground room lined with empty wooden chests, some large enough to hold massive folios. Could this have been part of Ivan's vault? The discovery sparked a frenzy of excavations, but the deeper archaeologists dug, the more the trail went cold, leaving only whispers and unanswered questions. What makes this hunt so captivating isn't just the potential for priceless text, it's the possibility of rediscovering voices silenced by time. Among the rumored contents are Aristotle's lost dialogues, early Christian gospels excluded from the Bible, and Byzantine military treatises that could reshape our understanding of medieval warfare. Even a single surviving volume could be a cultural earthquake, yet the search is fraught with obstacles. The Kremlin's foundations are a political minefield, and modern technology like ground-penetrating radar struggles with the site's dense, centuries-old architecture. Skeptics dismiss the library as a myth, pointing to the lack of concrete evidence in Ivan's own records. But believers counter that the Tsar's paranoia would explain the silence. Why document a treasure you've gone to great lengths to conceal? And then there's the curious case of a 19th-century explorer who claimed to have found a fragment of an ancient Greek text in a Moscow basement, its ink still vibrant after centuries. The page vanished before it could be authenticated, but the story lingers like a ghost. Whether the library is buried beneath the Kremlin's walls or scattered across forgotten corners of Russia, one thing is certain: its legend endures because it speaks to something deeper than gold or gems. It's about the unquenchable human thirst for knowledge and the haunting idea that somewhere beneath our feet, the answers to ancient mysteries might still be waiting untouched in the dark. Behind the ornate gates of Kerala's Sri Padmanabhaswamy temple lies a secret that has baffled historians, tantalized treasure hunters, and sparked legal battles for over a decade. Vault B. While the temple's other underground chambers have revealed staggering riches, golden idols, jewel-encrusted thrones, and sacks of centuries-old coins, this one remains sealed. Not for lack of trying, in 2011, an official inventory team pried open 5 of the temple's 6 vaults, uncovering a treasure trove worth an estimated $22 billion. But when they turned to Vault B, they hit a wall both literal and metaphysical. The chamber's massive iron door, adorned with serpent carvings and no visible lock, resisted every attempt to open it. Then came the warnings. Temple priests and devotees insist the vault is protected by more than just metal, it's guarded by ancient curses and divine wrath. The mystery of Vault B is woven into Kerala's spiritual fabric. Locals speak of the Naga Bandam, a mystical seal said to be conjured by yogis to protect sacred spaces. Legend claims only a high-level sage chanting specific mantras can break the seal. Anyone else who tries risks unleashing catastrophe. Skeptics dismiss this as superstition, pointing to the temple's turbulent history. The vaults were last documented in the early 19th century by the Travancore royal family, who ruled the region and served as the temple's caretakers. Some historians argue the royals used tales of curses to deter looters, especially after the British East India Company eyed Kerala's wealth, but even modern skeptics hesitate. When India's Supreme Court ordered an investigation in 2020, engineers brought in sonar equipment only to report unexplained metallic interference near the door, fueling fresh speculation. Legal entanglements have deepened the enigma. The temple's treasures are caught in a tug of war between the state government, the Travancore royal family, and Hindu religious authorities. The royals argue the treasures belong to the deity Lord Padmanabha and must remain undisturbed. Meanwhile, archaeologists and economists push for full access, citing the potential for historical insights and even national financial relief. Imagine melting down a fraction of those gold coins to bolster India's reserves. But every attempt to open Vault B meets fierce resistance. In 2019, a team of archaeologists proposed drilling a small hole to insert a camera, but protests erupted, with devotees forming human chains around the temple. What makes this vault so mesmerizing isn't just the potential wealth inside, it's the collision of faith and curiosity. Some theories suggest it contains the lost Pandava treasure from the Mahabharata, or gold offerings from traders who sailed Kerala's spice routes 1,000 years ago. Others fear it's empty, a decoy to distract from treasures hidden elsewhere. Until the door swings open, Vault B remains a Rorschach test for belief itself. For now, the serpents carved into its surface keep their silent watch, and the question lingers: is this a vault protecting history's greatest fortune, or a sacred line humanity simply isn't meant to cross? Among the moss-draped cypress trees and winding bayous of Louisiana, whispers persist of a pirate who outsmarted history itself, Jean Lafitte. This wasn't just any smuggler, he was a charismatic outlaw who played both sides of the law, supplying goods to New Orleans elite while eluding the U.S. Navy with a network of hidden waterways. When the British offered him riches to aid their attack during the War of 1812, Lafitte instead tipped off American forces, helping secure victory at the Battle of New Orleans. But his greatest trick, vanishing with a fortune in stolen Spanish gold and silver, leaving behind only cryptic maps and a trail of dead ends, the legends of Lafitte's treasure are as murky as the swamps he called home. Some say he buried chests near the twisted roots of ancient oaks on Grande Terre Island, where his pirate colony once thrived. Others insist the loot lies deeper inland, in the maze of bayous around Barataria, where shifting tides and sinking mud have swallowed landmarks whole. The most tantalizing clues come from Lafitte's own hand-alleged journals filled with riddles like, "Where the water meets the oak, dig with the setting sun at your back." But here's the catch: the Gulf Coast's landscape has transformed dramatically since the 1800s. Hurricanes have reshaped islands, and rising waters have drowned entire groves of maca trees. Treasure hunters have chased these ghosts for generations, armed with everything from antique compasses to satellite imagery. In the 1930s, a fisherman near Lake Borgne claimed to have found a rusted strongbox wedged in the roots of a lightning-struck oak, only for it to vanish in a storm surge before he could retrieve it. Decades later, a team of divers searching the wreck of Lafitte's flagship, the Pride, surfaced with a handful of silver coins but no chests of gold. Even modern expeditions face near impossible odds. The bayous are a treacherous puzzle of quicksand, alligators, and sudden fog, where GPS signals falter and handwritten maps from 2 centuries ago might as well be written in cipher. What keeps the hunt alive isn't just greed, it's the enigma of Lafitte himself. Unlike other pirates who died in battle or on the gallows, he supposedly slipped away to retire under a false name, leaving behind coded letters hinting at his hoard's location. Was this a final taunt or a genuine challenge for future adventurers? Some historians argue the treasure was always a myth, a smokescreen to distract authorities from Lafitte's real prize, his freedom. Others point to sporadic finds: a gold doubloon plowed up in a sugarcane field, a pistol with Lafitte's initials recovered from a marsh, as proof that at least some of the stories are true. The real treasure of Jean Lafitte might not be gold at all, but the enduring mystery of a man who danced between legend and reality. Every crumbling map, every sunken wreck, every oak gnarled by time invites us to wonder: was this the clue that would unlock the secret, or just another dead end in a game the pirate designed never to be won? The bayous keep their silence, and Lafitte, wherever he rests, must be laughing. After all, the best treasures aren't found, they're chased. The golden menorah from Jerusalem's Second Temple isn't just a relic, it's a symbol of resilience, plundered in the very moment it should have shone brightest. When Roman legions under Emperor Titus stormed the city in 70 CE, they didn't just destroy the temple, they carried its treasures through the streets of Rome as trophies. The menorah, a 7-branched masterpiece of solid gold, became the centerpiece of this humiliation, immortalized in the reliefs of Titus's arch. But after the parade, its trail goes dark. Did it melt into Rome's coffers, or was it hidden away, waiting to be reclaimed? The most tantalizing theory places it deep within the Vatican's vaults. Medieval travelers like Benjamin of Tudela wrote of a golden menorah kept in the papal treasury, though no concrete proof exists. In 2012, researchers scrutinizing Vatican archives discovered a 16th-century letter referencing Hebrew gold stored beneath the basilica, but access remains restricted. Jewish scholars have petitioned for transparency, citing historical accounts of church officials safeguarding temple artifacts during periods of persecution. Yet without definitive records, the menorah's fate dangles between hope and speculation. Others argue the treasure met a more violent end. When the Vandals sacked Rome in 455 CE, they allegedly seized the menorah and hauled it to Carthage, only for the Byzantine general Belisarius to recapture it decades later. According to the historian Procopius, the menorah was briefly displayed in Constantinople before Emperor Justinian, fearing divine retribution, ordered it returned to Jerusalem. But here's the twist: no records confirm its arrival. Some believe it vanished en route, lost to Bedouin raiders, or sunk in a shipwreck off the Levantine coast. Modern technology could rewrite this mystery. Ground-penetrating radar has mapped hidden chambers beneath Rome's Colosseum, a structure built with funds from Titus's conquest, where some speculate looted treasures were stashed. Meanwhile, scholars pore over newly digitized medieval manuscripts, searching for overlooked clues. The menorah's legacy endures not just as a lost artifact, but as a question that binds faith, history, and the unyielding human desire to reclaim what was stolen. Whether it gathers dust in a vault or lies shattered in some forgotten ruin, its light refuses to be extinguished. High in the cloud forests of Peru, where the Andes slope steeply into the Amazon, whispers persist of a city greater than Machu Picchu, one that even the Spanish conquistadors could never plunder. This is Paititi, the Inca's last refuge, a place so rich in gold that it's often called South America's true El Dorado. Unlike the mythical city of gold that lured thousands to their deaths, Paititi has roots in historical accounts. Spanish chronicles describe Inca rulers fleeing here with mule trains heavy with treasures, disappearing into the jungle to escape capture. For centuries, explorers have hacked through vines and scaled cliffs in search of it, often returning empty-handed or not returning at all. But recently, technology has begun peeling back the jungle's thick green veil, revealing tantalizing clues that Paititi might not be a legend after all. The hunt for Paititi took a dramatic turn in 2018 when a team of researchers used LiDAR, a laser mapping technology that can see through dense foliage, to scan the remote valleys of the Madre de Dios region. What they found sent shockwaves through the archaeological world. sprawling terraces, stone plazas, and a network of roads snaking through areas previously deemed uninhabitable. Most striking was a massive, circular structure hidden under centuries of growth, resembling the ceremonial centers of known Inca sites. These weren't just random ruins, they matched descriptions of Paititi as a sprawling, fortified city designed to protect the empire's last treasures. Yet the jungle guards its secrets fiercely. Even with Lidea's revelations, reaching these sites means battling torrential rains, venomous snakes, and the ever-present threat of landslides. Locals speak of Supe, spirits said to protect the ruins, and tell stories of interlopers who vanished after disturbing sacred ground. One expedition in 2021 reported finding a stone staircase leading to a cliffside entrance only to watch helplessly as a sudden mudslide buried it before they could explore further. Another team stumbled upon a cave filled with ceramic shards and gold flecks, but the walls collapsed days later, sealing the passage. What makes Paititi different from other lost cities is the paper trail. Spanish priest Andrés López wrote in 1600 of a great city of gold, where Inca nobles still practiced their rituals in secret. In the 1970s, a missionary named Carlos Nuanchwanda followed indigenous accounts to a plateau where he claimed to see stone buildings overgrown with orchids, but political unrest forced him to abandon his notes. Then there's the infamous glyphs of Pocharo, ancient petroglyphs carved into a riverside cliff, depicting what some believe is a map to Paititi, complete with symbols pointing to hidden tunnels. The question isn't just whether Paititi exists, but what it might still hold. Could its vaults contain the missing gold of the Coricancha, Cusco's Sun Temple, stripped by the Spanish but never fully accounted for, or the mummies of Inca emperors spirited away to preserve their sacred lineage? Modern archaeologists caution that Paititi, if found, might not be a trove of glittering gold but a cultural time capsule, a place where the Incas' final days played out in exile. Still, the allure of discovery burns bright. With every Lidea scan and every cracked code in the Pocharo glyphs, we inch closer to unraveling one of history's most enduring riddles. And perhaps deep in those emerald shadows, a city of stone and gold still waits not as a myth, but as a testament to an empire's desperate, dazzling defiance. When Napoleon Bonaparte crowned himself Emperor of the French in 1804, he didn't just seize power, he crafted an entire mythology around it. At the heart of this spectacle were his crown jewels, a dazzling collection of regalia designed to rival the splendor of Europe's oldest monarchies, the centerpiece. A golden laurel wreath studded with emeralds, rubies, and pearls, mimicking the crowns of Roman emperors. But after his defeat at Waterloo in 1815, these symbols of imperial grandeur vanished without a trace. Some say loyalists smuggled them out of Paris in the chaos of his abdication, while rumors swirl that Russian soldiers who occupied the city secretly carried them back to St. Petersburg as spoils of war. The mystery deepens when you consider the sheer audacity of Napoleon's treasures. Beyond the crown, there was the diadem of the Empress, a delicate band of diamonds and sapphires worn by Josephine, and the sword of Marengo, its hilt encrusted with gems from conquered kingdoms. Records show these items were stored in the Garde Meuble, France's royal treasury, but inventories after Waterloo reveal glaring gaps. One theory points to Marshal Ney, Napoleon's most loyal general, who allegedly orchestrated a midnight operation to hide the jewels in the catacombs beneath Paris. Another suggests they were melted down by the restored Bourbon monarchy to erase all traces of the usurper's reign, yet whispers persist that key pieces survived. The most tantalizing lead comes from Russia. In 1917, during the Bolshevik Revolution, a stash of French imperial jewelry surfaced in a Moscow pawnshop, pieces that matched descriptions of Napoleon's regalia. Were these trophies taken by Tsar Alexander's troops a century earlier? The trail goes cold there, but modern collectors still chase shadows. In 2014, a Swiss auction house sold a pearl and diamond brooch attributed to Empress Marie-Louise, Napoleon's second wife, fueling speculation that more treasures linger in private vaults. What makes this hunt so compelling isn't just the gold and gems, it's the symbolism. Napoleon's jewels were more than ornaments, they were propaganda designed to legitimize a ruler who'd risen from obscurity. Their disappearance feels like history's irony, the ultimate conqueror undone, his symbols scattered like the empire he built. Could they still be out there, waiting to be reunited under museum lights? Or were they dismantled long ago, their stones repurposed to adorn lesser crowns? The answer, like Napoleon's legacy, remains fiercely contested, a glittering enigma wrapped in the fog of war. On a moonless night in July 1715, a hurricane of unimaginable fury slammed into 11 Spanish galleons off Florida's coast, scattering riches worth billions today across the ocean floor. This was the doomed Spanish treasure fleet carrying silver from Mexico, gold from Peru, and emeralds from Colombia, all destined for King Philip V's coffers. While modern salvors have recovered dazzling finds from these wrecks, one ship remains the holy grail of this disaster. The San Miguel, flagship of the fleet, believed to hold the most valuable cargo of all, the Queen's Jewels, a private consignment of gemstones and rare pearls intended for the Spanish Queen herself. What makes the San Miguel so tantalizing isn't just the treasure, it's the ship's eerie disappearance. Unlike other wrecks in the fleet, which were mapped by Spanish recovery crews in the 1700s, the San Miguel vanished without a trace. Contemporary accounts describe it breaking apart in the storm, its decks littered with chests of jewels before plunging into deep water far from the other wrecks. For centuries, hunters assumed it was lost forever until a breakthrough in the 1960s. A fisherman near Sebastian Inlet snagged his net on an unusual obstruction, a pile of silver bars stamped with 1715 mint marks. Further dives revealed artifacts suggesting this wasn't just debris, but the edge of the San Miguel's final resting place. Yet the mother lode, those legendary jewels, remained elusive. Modern technology has reignited the hunt. Magnetometer scans in 2018 detected a large, dense object buried under 30 feet of sand near Cape Canaveral, matching the size and composition of a galleon's hull. Divers probing the site recovered ornate sword hilts and fragments of Chinese porcelain exclusive luxuries typically reserved for a ship's highest-ranking passengers. Then came the clincher, a single, flawless pearl nestled in a corroded silver setting, identical to descriptions of the Queen's personal collection. But before the team could expand their search, hurricane seasons and shifting sands reburied the site, leaving the San Miguel's full treasure tantalizingly out of reach once more. The real mystery: why the Queen's jewels were aboard at all. Historical records suggest the Queen, fearing British privateers, secretly diverted her personal trove onto the San Miguel, believing its fortified hull would outrun danger. Instead, nature intervened with brutal irony. Some scholars argue the jewels were never on the ship, that they'd been secretly unloaded in Havana, leaving the San Miguel as a decoy. Others point to a cryptic letter from a Spanish officer describing the Crown's greatest treasures being lashed to the ship's mainmast as it sank, ensuring they'd stay together in the deep. For treasure hunters, the San Miguel represents the ultimate high-stakes gamble. The shallow waters where the fleet wrecked are notorious for sudden storms and strong currents, while legal battles over salvage rights have tied up expeditions for years. Yet with every storm that reshapes the seabed, new clues emerge. In 2021, a teenager metal detecting on a nearby beach found a gold coin so pristine it could only have washed ashore recently, proof that the ocean hasn't finished giving up its secrets. Whether the Queen's jewels lie buried under tons of sand or were scattered across miles of reef, one thing's certain: the San Miguel's treasure isn't lost. It's just waiting for the right combination of technology, timing, and sheer stubbornness to finally surface. The legends surrounding Victoria Peak in New Mexico's rugged desert aren't just tall tales. They're a labyrinth of government secrets, stubborn treasure hunters, and a fortune that might still be buried beneath layers of stone and skepticism. In the 1930s, a prospector named Milton Doc Noss claimed to have stumbled upon the motherlode of all discoveries, a hidden cavern inside the peak, its walls lined with gold bars, religious artifacts, and stacks of centuries-old Spanish documents. The story goes that Noss, while hunting for lost cattle, noticed a strange draft blowing from a crevice in the rock. After widening the opening with dynamite, he allegedly rappelled into a chamber glittering with treasure, enough to rewrite the history of the American Southwest. But here's where things get murky. Noss's attempts to extract the gold were repeatedly thwarted, first by a collapsed tunnel, then by legal disputes, and finally by his own murder in 1949, shot dead by a business partner under suspicious circumstances. The U.S. Army soon swooped in, declaring the area part of the neighboring White Sands Missile Range and cordoning it off under the guise of national security. Treasure hunters howled in protest, accusing the government of confiscating the gold for itself. Declassified documents from the 1970s revealed that military personnel had indeed conducted secret excavations on the peak, hauling out crates of undocumented materials. Yet officials insisted they found nothing, just empty tunnels and geological formations. Theories about the gold's origins only deepen the mystery. Some believe it was part of a Spanish mining operation from the 1700s, hidden during raids by Apache warriors led by Chief Victorio himself, hence the peak's name. Others argue it was stolen Confederate gold, smuggled west after the Civil War to fund a doomed rebellion in Mexico. The most tantalizing twist, a 1961 affidavit from a former Army intelligence officer who swore under oath that he'd seen a warehouse at White Sands filled with gold bars stamped with Spanish royal markings. When pressed, the Pentagon dismissed his claims as the ramblings of a disgruntled retiree. Modern attempts to investigate have been met with bureaucratic brick walls. Despite the missile range's occasional public tours, Victoria Peak itself remains strictly off-limits, guarded by patrols and surveillance. Geologists who have studied the area point to natural caves in the region, but none match Noss's descriptions of a man-made vault. Then there's the curious case of a 1980s lawsuit in which the Noss family sued the government for confiscating the treasure, only for the case to be abruptly dismissed with key documents sealed. What keeps this legend alive isn't just the potential for gold, it's the whiff of a cover-up. Why would the military cling to an otherwise unremarkable mountain for decades? Why the rush to classify every excavation report? Whether the peak holds a king's ransom or nothing at all, one thing's certain: the desert guards its secrets well. And for those who still dream of Doc Noss's cave, the truth might be buried deeper than the treasure itself. Genghis Khan's tomb isn't just a missing grave, it's a void at the heart of one of history's greatest empires, a secret so fiercely guarded that even 8 centuries later no one dares disturb it. The Mongol conqueror, who forged an empire stretching from the Pacific to the Caspian Sea, amassed wealth beyond reckoning: gold from Chinese emperors, jewels from Persian caliphs, and tribute from every corner of the known world. Yet when he died in 1227, his followers executed a vanishing act worthy of the man himself. According to legend, his funeral procession slaughtered every witness they encountered on their journey to the burial site, then diverted a river to cover the grave, leaving no trace behind. The location, somewhere in the rugged expanse of Mongolia's Burkhan-Koldun mountain range, a place so sacred modern archaeologists tread carefully, balancing curiosity against the weight of cultural taboo. What makes this hunt different from other lost treasures isn't just the potential riches, it's the moral tightrope explorers must walk. For Mongolians, Genghis Khan isn't merely a historical figure. He's a near-mythic ancestor, and his resting place is considered a spiritual epicenter. Disturbing it isn't just risky, it's sacrilege. Local beliefs warn of a curse protecting the tomb, one that could unleash calamity on anyone who desecrates it. This isn't mere superstition. In 2002, a joint American-Mongolian expedition using satellite imaging claimed to have found a promising site near the Onon River, only to abruptly cancel further digs after protests from Mongolian elders. Even high-tech surveys now avoid direct excavation, relying instead on drones and ground-penetrating radar to honor cultural sensitivities while inching closer to the truth. The historical clues are as sparse as they are tantalizing. The Persian chronicler Rashid al-Din wrote that Khan's burial party planted trees over the site until the earth swallowed all evidence. Marco Polo's accounts describe a plain where no marker stands, guarded by descendants who have sworn eternal silence. Modern researchers sift through these fragments, cross-referencing them with geographical surveys. One theory suggests the tomb lies beneath the modern-day Ikkorig, or Great Taboo, a no-go zone historically patrolled by a warrior clan called the Darkhad. Another points to a remote valley where unusual stone structures align with 13th-century Mongol rituals. But without physical proof, these remain educated guesses, ghosts of a puzzle that may never be solved. The ethical dilemma is unavoidable. Would uncovering the tomb enrich our understanding of Mongol culture, or would it be an unforgivable violation? Some scholars argue that non-invasive techniques like 3D scanning could preserve the site's sanctity while revealing its secrets. Others counter that even satellite mapping feels like trespassing. Meanwhile, the treasure itself, if it exists, remains a secondary concern. Khan allegedly demanded burial without grave goods, believing his legacy was glory enough. Yet rumors persist of hidden chambers filled with the plunder of empires, a final testament to the man who reshaped the world. For now, the mountains keep their secret. Whether out of respect, fear, or sheer impossibility, Genghis Khan's tomb remains untouched, a silent monument to the power of myth over metal, and perhaps that's how it should be. Some treasures aren't meant to be found, they're meant to remind us that even the mightiest rulers can't control how they're remembered, only how they're revered. William Clark wasn't just rich, he was Montana royalty, a copper baron who built an empire so vast, his fortune would dwarf today's billionaires. Yet for all his public opulence, the railroads, the senatorships, the gilded Manhattan penthouse, rumors swirled that Clark stashed his most personal treasures where no one could find them. Not in banks, not in stock portfolios, but beneath the very floors of his butt mansion, in a secret vault rumored to hold millions in rare gold coins and gemstones. The clues begin with Clark's obsession with privacy. While other tycoons flaunted their wealth, he famously distrusted financial institutions after losing money in bank collapses. Construction blueprints for his 34-room butt estate, later called the Copper King Mansion, show anomalies, a sub-basement not listed on official records, and crawl spaces too elaborate for mere plumbing. Servants reported hearing hollow echoes beneath the library's marble floors, while a 1924 renovation crew allegedly uncovered, then hastily sealed, a steel door behind a false wall in the wine cellar. But here's where the mystery ignites. In 1907, during a national gold shortage, Clark withdrew $200,000 in $20 gold pieces from the U.S. Treasury. Coins so rare today, a single one fetches over $50,000 at auction. Bank records confirm the withdrawal, but the coins themselves vanished from public ledgers. The most compelling theory: Clark hid them on site, perhaps behind the mansion's famed Tiffany stained glass windows, which conveniently double as disguised access points to interior walls. Modern technology has only deepened the intrigue. Ground-penetrating radar scans in 2015 revealed an anomalous void beneath the mansion's foundation, matching descriptions of Clark-era vaults in his other properties. Yet current owners, wary of damaging historic finishes, have resisted invasive searches. Meanwhile, numismatists pore over Clark's diaries, decoding passages about the safekeeping of St. Gordon's work, a possible reference to ultra-rare $20 coins designed by sculptor Augustus St. Gordon's, of which only a handful were minted in 1907. The real question isn't just whether the treasure exists, it's why Clark would go to such lengths. Some historians argue it was insurance against another financial panic. Others whisper it was blood money, tied to his ruthless suppression of Butt's minor strikes. Whatever the truth, the mansion keeps its secrets. Every creak in its parquet floors, every draft in its secret passages, hints at a fortune still locked away, waiting for someone to unravel the Copper King's final puzzle. The fall of the Romanov dynasty in 1917 didn't just mark the end of an empire. It set off a treasure hunt that's still unfolding today. When Bolshevik revolutionaries stormed the Winter Palace, they weren't just overthrowing a monarchy, they were looting centuries of accumulated wealth. Among the most coveted prizes, the Romanov jewels, a glittering hoard of Fabergé eggs, diamond tiaras, and gem-encrusted scepters that vanished into the chaos of revolution. But unlike other lost treasures, these weren't buried or sunk. They were scattered, sold, and smuggled, turning up in the most unexpected places over the past century. Take the saga of the 1885 first hen egg, the inaugural Fabergé masterpiece crafted for Tsar Alexander III. After the Romanovs' execution, it disappeared from inventory lists, only to resurface in 1922 at a Paris flea market, mistaken for a trinket and sold for a pittance. Decades later, an American scrap metal dealer found it gathering dust in his storeroom, its true identity hidden under layers of grime. That discovery ignited a firestorm among collectors, proving that even the most iconic treasures could slip through the cracks of history unnoticed. Then there's the mystery of the Romanov emeralds. Grand Duchess Maria Pavlovna, fearing the revolution's reach, reportedly sewed her personal collection, a fortune in fist-sized Colombian stones, into the lining of her dresses before fleeing to exile. Some surfaced in Hollywood in the 1950s, adoring the necklines of starlets who had no idea of their bloody provenance. Others allegedly ended up in the vaults of Middle Eastern royalty, gifted by white Russian immigrants desperate for sanctuary. The most tantalizing rumor, a single emerald brooch smuggled out in the corset of a lady-in-waiting, now sits in a private Swiss collection, its ownership disputed by descendants of the Romanovs and the Russian state. What makes this hunt so extraordinary is the paper trail, or lack thereof. The Bolsheviks, eager to fund their new regime, auctioned off troves of jewels through shadowy intermediaries in Europe. Records were deliberately obscured, prices undervalued, and buyers kept anonymous. Christie's and Sotheby's archives from the 1920s reveal coded entries like Lot 217, gold egg with enamel work, provenance confidential. Even today, Fabergé specialists track these sales like detectives, chasing leads from Monte Carlo ballrooms to Tokyo antique shops. The most contentious chapter involves the British crown jewels. Persistent whispers suggest that King George V, cousin to Tsar Nicholas II, quietly acquired several Romanov pieces during the family's failed asylum negotiations. Court documents from the 1930s reference gifts of Russian origin in the royal collection, but Buckingham Palace has never confirmed their ties to the Tsars. In 2018, a historian examining the late Queen Mother's tiara noticed telltale hallmarks matching a lost Romanov diadem, sparking fresh debates about ethical restitution. For every recovered treasure, countless others remain ghosts. The 1897 coronation egg, last seen in a Moscow pawnshop in 1927, is rumored to have been melted down for its gold. The famed nuptial crown, woven from diamonds once worn by Catherine the Great, allegedly crossed the Atlantic in a diplomat's suitcase and now resides in a Texas oil magnate's safe, its location known only to a handful of art dealers. And then there are the enigmas like the Siberian amethyst tiara, photographed on a Manhattan socialite in 1949 before vanishing again without explanation. What fuels this century-long obsession isn't just the monetary value, it's the human drama tangled in every gem. These jewels witnessed coronations, assassinations, and doomed love affairs. They outlived their owners, surviving wars and upheavals only to become pawns in a global game of provenance and politics. The Russian government has spent decades attempting to repatriate lost treasures, battling collectors in courts from Geneva to New York. Meanwhile, a new generation of Romanov descendants scans auction catalogs, hoping to reclaim fragments of a shattered legacy. The truth is, we'll never know how many Fabergé eggs still linger in attic boxes or bank vaults, mislabeled as decorative orbs by owners unaware of their history. Or how many diamonds pried from imperial settings now sparkle anonymously on the fingers of strangers. The Romanov treasure isn't just lost, it's hiding in plain sight, a glittering reminder that even the grandest fortunes can dissolve into whispers, waiting for the right moment to resurface. The allure of lost treasures isn't just about gold or jewels, it's about the stories that refuse to fade. These legends are more than relics, they're living puzzles where history blurs with myth and adventure dances with obsession. Think about it, every treasure we've explored carries the weight of empires, the whispers of rebels, and the desperation of those who dared to chase the impossible. Whether it's the Ark of the Covenant's divine mystery or the chilling curse of Victorio Peak, these tales captivate because they're human dramas dressed in glitter and shadow. They remind us that the past isn't just facts in a textbook, it's a playground of what-ifs and maybes waiting for someone to connect the dots. What makes these treasures timeless is their uncanny ability to evolve. The Amber Room isn't just a stolen masterpiece, it's a ghost of wartime greed, a symbol of how beauty can vanish in the chaos of history. The Lost Dutchman's mine isn't merely a cache of gold, it's a test of human grit against a mountain that refuses to be tamed. And Genghis Khan's tomb, it's the ultimate paradox, a secret so powerful, even the earth seems to conspire to keep it hidden. These aren't static artifacts, they're mirrors reflecting our own curiosity, our hunger to uncover what's just out of reach. But here's the real magic: the hunt isn't over. Technology rewrites the rules every day. LiDAR scans peel back jungle canopies, DNA analysis cracks centuries-old forgeries, and satellite imagery spots anomalies invisible to the naked eye. Who's to say the next big discovery isn't already lurking in a forgotten archive or buried under suburban sprawl? That's the thrill, the idea that history's greatest secrets might still surface when we least expect it. Now we turn to you. Which of these treasures ignites your imagination? Do you believe El Dorado was more than a conquistador's mirage? Could the copper scroll's clues still lead to a silver chest beneath Jerusalem's streets? Drop your theories in the comments, because the best part of these mysteries is the conversation they spark. And if you're hooked on unraveling history's enigmas, hit subscribe. We've barely scratched the surface of the world's greatest unsolved puzzles, and trust us, the next chapter is even wilder. After all, the greatest treasure isn't just what's buried, it's the stories we tell while searching for it.